October 782. A river in Saxony runs red, not with autumn leaves, with blood. 4,500 men kneel by the water's edge. Their hands are bound. Behind them, Frankish soldiers grip their swords, waiting for the order. The order comes from one man, Charles, king of the Franks, protector of Christianity, the man history will call Charlemagne the Great. But today, there is nothing great about what he's about to do. In the next few hours, more people will die by his command than in any single day of his 46-year reign. More than at any battle, more than at any siege. This is not war. This is something else. This is Verden. And what happens here will haunt Charlemagne for the rest of his life. It will shock even his closest allies. It will transform a war of conquest into something far darker. Some historians call it the bloodiest day of the early Middle Ages. Others question if it even happened. The sources contradict each other. The numbers don't add up. And Charlemagne himself never spoke of it again. But one thing is certain. Something terrible happened at the mouth of the Aller River in October 782. Something so brutal that it changed everything. Welcome to the story of the day Charlemagne became a mass murderer. The morning is cold. Mist rises from the Aller River where it meets the Weser. You can smell the dampness in the air, hear the water flowing, feel the tension. 4,500 Saxon men stand in lines along the riverbank. Some are in chains. Others are simply surrounded. There's nowhere to run. Frankish soldiers, thousands of them, form a perimeter. These Saxon men were brought here under the promise of negotiation, of mercy, of a chance to make peace. They were lied to. Among them are nobles, warriors who fought in the recent battles, farmers who were conscripted, young men barely old enough to grow beards, old men who remember when the Franks first came to their land a decade ago. They don't know exactly what's about to happen. But they know it's not good, because standing before them on horseback, surrounded by his commanders and bishops, is Charlemagne himself. And he is furious. Just weeks ago, these Saxons humiliated him. They destroyed a Frankish army, killed his generals, made him look weak. And Charlemagne does not tolerate weakness. He has assembled them here at Verden. He has demanded that the Saxon leaders hand over everyone responsible for the recent rebellion. Every single person who raised arms against the Franks. The Saxon leaders complied. They had no choice. Charlemagne's army was too large. Resistance was suicide. So they brought 4,500 men, hoping this would satisfy the king, hoping he would take hostages and leave. They were wrong. Charlemagne gives the order. It's brief, final, unmerciful. Execute them. All of them. The soldiers hesitate, not because they're squeamish. Medieval warriors know violence. But this is different. This is industrial scale. Killing. 4,500 men. How do you even do that? But orders are orders, and Charlemagne is watching. The killing begins. Some sources say they were beheaded, one by one, hour after hour, the executioners working in shifts because the work is exhausting. Imagine the sound, the screams, the prayers to gods that won't answer, the smell of blood mixing with river water. Other sources suggest they were drowned, forced into the river in groups, weighed down, left to sink. The water, turning red as far as you can see. We don't know the exact method. The sources don't agree, but we know the result. By sunset, 4,500 men are dead. Their bodies fill the riverbank. Some float downstream. Others are left where they fell. The Franks don't bury them properly. There are too many. And besides, these were pagans, enemies of God. Why would they deserve Christian burial? Charlemagne watches it all. Does he feel anything? Regret? Satisfaction? Righteousness? We'll never know. Because he never wrote about this day, never explained himself, never justified it publicly. All we have are the cold words in the royal Frankish annals written by his loyal chroniclers, and this was done. 4 words to describe the bloodiest day of his reign. But to understand why this happened, why a Christian king ordered the execution of 4,500 men in a single day, we need to go back. Back to where it all started. Back to 772, 10 years earlier, when Charlemagne first marched into Saxony. Before we continue with this story, a quick request. If you're finding this fascinating and want more people to know about this dark chapter of history, leave a like on this video. It really helps the channel grow and allows me to keep bringing you these deep dives into the past. And if you enjoy history told differently, with the details they don't teach in school, subscribe and hit the notification bell. I make videos like this every week. All right? Let's go back to 772. To the beginning of Charlemagne's obsession with Saxony. The year is 772. Charles, not yet called the Great, is 30 years old. He's been king of the Franks for just 4 years. His brother Charlemagne died suddenly the year before, leaving Charles as sole ruler of the Frankish Empire. He's ambitious, hungry for glory, and he has his eye on Saxony. Saxony is not a kingdom. It's not even a unified territory. It's a patchwork of different tribes and clans, all loosely connected by language and pagan religion. They worship Thor, Odin, Saxnot. They gather at sacred groves. They resist Christianity with everything they have, and they're right on the Frankish border. For generations, Frankish kings have tried to control the Saxons, sometimes through alliances, sometimes through tribute, sometimes through war. But the Saxons always slip away. They have no capital to conquer, no king to defeat, no center of power to destroy. They're like trying to grab smoke. Charlemagne decides to change the strategy. He won't just raid Saxony, he'll conquer it, Christianize it, integrate it into his empire permanently. In 772, he marches his army deep into Saxon territory. His target is a place called Eresburg, a Saxon fortress. He captures it easily. The Saxons aren't prepared for this level of aggression, but Charlemagne doesn't stop there. He hears about a sacred site nearby, a massive wooden pillar called the Irminsul. It's the center of Saxon paganism, a symbol of their connection to the gods. Some say it holds up the sky. Charlemagne orders it destroyed. His soldiers chop it down, burn it, desecrate the sacred ground around it. It's a message to the Saxons. Your gods can't protect you. Only the Christian God has power here. The Saxons are shocked, enraged, but also terrified. If the Irminsul can be destroyed, what else can this Frankish king do? Many Saxon leaders submit. They give hostages, accept baptism, promise loyalty. Charlemagne returns to Francia, satisfied. He thinks it's over. It's not. As soon as Charlemagne leaves, the Saxons rebel. They attack Frankish settlements, burn churches, kill priests, renounce their forced baptisms. Charlemagne returns, suppresses the rebellion, takes more hostages, demands more conversions. The Saxons submit again and rebel again. This pattern repeats for 10 years. Attack, rebellion, suppression, submission, rebellion. Charlemagne is getting frustrated. He's fighting wars in Italy, in Spain, in Bavaria. He can't keep coming back to Saxony every year. But the Saxons won't stay conquered. And there's one man who keeps stirring them up, a Saxon noble named Widukind. Widukind is Charlemagne's nemesis. Every time the Franks leave, Widukind returns from hiding and rallies the Saxons. He's charismatic, clever, and utterly committed to Saxon independence. By 782, Charlemagne has had enough. He's been fighting these people for a decade. He's built fortresses, installed bishops, created Frankish administrations. He considers Saxony part of his empire already, and yet they keep rebelling. So when news reaches him in the summer of 782 that the Saxons have risen again, he makes a decision. No more half measures, no more mercy. This time, he'll break them completely. It's late summer 782. Charlemagne is in Francia, dealing with other matters when urgent news arrives. The Saxons have rebelled. Again. But this time it's worse. A Frankish army, led by 3 of Charlemagne's top commanders, has been sent to deal with Slavic raiders on the eastern frontier. It's supposed to be a routine campaign. Saxons are even part of this army. They're supposed to be integrated now, part of the Frankish military system. But when the army reaches Saxony, something goes wrong. Widukind has returned from exile. He's been hiding in Denmark, waiting for the right moment. And this is it. The Saxon soldiers in the Frankish army turn on their commanders. Other Saxons join them. What was supposed to be a routine campaign becomes an ambush. The battle takes place at a location called the Suntel Mountains. It's a massacre. But this time, the Saxons are doing the massacring. The Frankish army is destroyed, almost to the last man. The 3 commanders are killed. Their troops are slaughtered. It's one of the worst military defeats of Charlemagne's entire reign. When word reaches Charlemagne, he's stunned, humiliated, enraged. These Saxons didn't just rebel, they destroyed an entire Frankish army, killed his personal representatives, made him look weak in front of the entire Christian world. And it gets worse, because some of the Saxons who participated in this massacre were recent converts, men who had been baptized, who had sworn oaths of loyalty, who had taken Frankish names. In Charlemagne's mind, they're not just rebels. They're oath breakers, apostates, traitors to God himself. This is personal now. Charlemagne assembles an army immediately, not a raiding force, not a punitive expedition. A full army, thousands of soldiers. He's going to Saxony, and he's going to end this once and for all. The march takes weeks. Charlemagne moves fast. He's not interested in negotiations, not interested in sieges. He wants blood. By early October, he reaches Saxony. The Saxons know he's coming. They know he's angry. And they're terrified. Saxon leaders scramble to make peace. They send messengers, offer hostages, promise submission. Charlemagne makes his demand clear. He wants everyone who participated in the Suntel massacre, everyone who fought against the Franks, everyone who broke their baptismal vows, everyone. Hand them over, or every Saxon will face his wrath. The Saxon leaders have no choice. They gather the men, 4,500 of them, warriors, leaders, anyone who might have been involved, anyone who might rebel again. They bring them to a place called Verden, at the mouth of the Aller River, where it flows into the Weser. Charlemagne is waiting. This story gets even more intense from here. And I want as many people as possible to hear it. If you're following along and want to support this kind of deep historical content, share this video. Send it to that friend who loves dark history, who's fascinated by medieval Europe, who needs to know what really happened. And drop a comment. What do you think so far? Was Charlemagne justified, or did he cross a line? I want to hear your thoughts. Okay, let's get to the darkest part, the massacre itself. Early October, 782. Verden, the mouth of the Aller River. 4,500 Saxon men have been assembled. They're surrounded by Frankish soldiers. There's no escape. The nearest forest is miles away. The river is too wide to swim across under guard. They were told they would negotiate, that Charlemagne would listen to their grievances, that there would be a trial, justice. They were lied to. Charlemagne addresses them. We don't know his exact words. The sources don't record a speech, but we can imagine the tone. Cold, furious, righteous. You rebelled against God's anointed king. You murdered Frankish soldiers. You broke your baptismal vows. You are oath breakers, apostates, enemies of Christ. There will be no trial, no mercy, no second chances, only death. Some of the Saxon leaders try to argue. They weren't all at Suntel. Some are innocent. Many were forced to participate. They had no choice. Charlemagne doesn't care. Collective punishment. That's the strategy. Doesn't matter if you personally swung a sword at Suntel. You're Saxon. You're part of the problem. You're complicit. Besides, who's to say you won't rebel next year or the year after? The only way to guarantee peace is to remove the threat completely. The order is given. Execute them all. The Frankish soldiers begin their grim work. The sources don't agree on the method. The Royal Frankish Annals, written by Charlemagne's own chroniclers, simply say, punished with death. No details. No description. Other sources, written later, suggest beheading. The most common form of execution in medieval Europe, efficient, relatively quick, but exhausting when you're doing it 4,500 times. Think about the logistics. If each execution takes 2 minutes, including dragging the body away and bringing up the next victim, that's 9,000 minutes, 150 hours, 6 full days of non-stop killing. Even working in shifts with multiple execution sites, it would take all day and into the night. The executioners would be covered in blood. Their arms would be tired. The psychological toll would be immense. Even hardened warriors would struggle with this level of killing, because this isn't battle. In battle, adrenaline takes over. It's kill or be killed. This is different. This is cold, methodical, industrial. Some later sources claim they were drowned instead, forced into the river in groups, weighted down, left to die. This would be faster, more efficient, but also more cruel. Drowning is a terrifying way to die. We don't know which method was used. Maybe both. Maybe it varied. Maybe the sources exaggerated. Maybe it didn't happen at all. But here's what we do know. The Royal Frankish Annals, the official record, written by people loyal to Charlemagne, record that 4,500 Saxons were executed at Verden in 782. 4,500. Let that number sit with you for a moment. That's more than died at the Battle of Hastings, more than at Agincourt. It's one of the largest mass executions in medieval European history, and it was ordered by a man who called himself the protector of Christianity. The killing continues for hours. The Saxons who are waiting their turn can hear the screams, smell the blood, watch their friends and family die. Some pray to their old gods, Thor, Odin, the gods the Franks tried to make them forget. If they're going to die, they'll die as Saxons. Others pray to the Christian God they were forced to accept. Maybe he'll have mercy. Maybe this is a test. Maybe they'll be saved. They're not saved. By the time it's over, the riverbank is covered in bodies. The water runs red. Literally. 4,500 bodies produce a lot of blood. The Franks don't bury them properly. There are too many. And besides, these were apostates. Traitors. Why give them Christian burial? Some bodies are thrown into the river. Others are left where they fell. Let the wolves and crows take them. Charlemagne watches it all. Or maybe he doesn't. Maybe he stays in his tent. We don't know. The sources don't say. But he gave the order. And the order was carried out. 4,500 men, dead, in a single day. This is Verden. We're reaching the climax of this story. The moment everything changes. If you're not subscribed yet, now's the time. Hit that subscribe button. Because I make videos like this every single week. Deep dives into the darkest, most fascinating moments in history. And stick around, because we need to talk about what happened after Verden, the fallout, the consequences, the legacy. Let's finish this story. So, 4,500 men are dead. The riverbank at Verden is a killing field, and Charlemagne has just committed what even some of his contemporaries will call an atrocity. But in his mind, justice has been served. The Saxons rebelled. They murdered his soldiers. They broke their oaths. They deserved death. He packs up his army and returns to Francia. Mission accomplished. Except it's not accomplished. Not even close. Because Verden doesn't end the Saxon resistance. It radicalizes it. News of the massacre spreads across Saxony like wildfire. 4,500 men executed. No trial, no mercy, just slaughter. The Saxons who survived are traumatized, enraged, terrified. They realize that submission means nothing to Charlemagne. Baptism means nothing. Oaths mean nothing. If he can kill 4,500 men after they surrendered, he can kill anyone. So they stopped surrendering. The Saxon Wars, which Charlemagne thought he could end with brutality, actually intensify. Rebellions continue. More attacks on Frankish settlements, more church burnings, more bloodshed. It takes another 22 years until 804, before Saxony is finally, truly conquered. 22 more years of war, thousands more deaths, mass deportations, cultural genocide, and even then, Saxon identity doesn't disappear. It goes underground. It survives in folklore, in place names, in resentment passed down through generations. Verden doesn't break the Saxons. It just makes the war longer, bloodier, more bitter. But there's another consequence, one that's more immediate, more personal to Charlemagne. Criticism. Remember, Charlemagne isn't just a king, he's a Christian king, the defender of the faith, the protector of the church. His entire identity is built on being the righteous ruler who spreads Christianity and protects Christians. And now he's massacred 4,500 people after they surrendered, without trial. Even his own advisors are horrified. The most famous critic is a man named Alcuin of York. He's a scholar, a theologian, one of Charlemagne's closest advisors. He spent years at the Frankish court, helping to build what historians call the Carolingian Renaissance, a revival of learning and culture. Alcuin writes letters to Charlemagne in the 790s, years after Verden. He never mentions the massacre directly. Too dangerous. But he criticizes the entire approach to Saxony. He says the Saxons are being forced to pay taxes they can't afford, that they're being baptized at sword point without understanding Christianity, that the Franks are using religion as a tool of oppression rather than salvation. And then Alcuin writes something chilling. He says, and I'm paraphrasing, if I were a Saxon, forced to choose between my old gods and this version of Christianity, I wouldn't choose Christianity either. That's huge. That's Charlemagne's own advisor basically saying, you're doing this wrong. There's even a record from the Annals of Northumbria, written in England, far from Frankish control. It says, and this is a direct quote, "It is believed that Charles ravaged Saxony with fire and sword because he had gone mad." Gone mad. That's how some people saw him after Verden. Charlemagne never publicly responds to these criticisms. He never defends Verden, never explains it, never even acknowledges it in his later writings. It's like he wants to forget it happened, but he can't. Because Verden becomes part of his legacy, a stain on his reputation, a reminder that even great kings can do terrible things. So was Verden real? Did 4,500 men really die in a single day? Historians debate this. Some accept the number at face value, 4,500. It's right there in the Royal Frankish Annals, the most reliable source we have. Others are skeptical. How do you execute that many people in one day? It's logistically difficult. Maybe the number is exaggerated. Maybe it was 450, and a scribe added a zero by mistake. Or maybe death didn't mean execution. Maybe it meant deportation. The Latin word mort can sometimes mean social death, removal from society. Maybe those 4,500 men were exiled, not killed. But here's the thing. If Verden was exaggerated or misunderstood, why didn't Charlemagne correct the record? Why didn't his chroniclers clarify? Why the silence? The silence suggests something terrible really did happen, something Charlemagne didn't want to talk about, something that haunted him. And even if the number is inflated, even if it was only a few hundred, it's still a massacre. It's still mass execution without trial. It's still a war crime by any modern standard. Verden happened. The details might be murky, but the essence is clear. Charlemagne ordered the deaths of a large number of Saxon prisoners, and it changed everything. So here we are, back at the riverbank, back at Verden, October 782. 4,500 men died here. Or maybe more, or maybe less. We'll never know the exact number, but we know their names are lost. Their families are forgotten. Their stories are erased. All we have is a single entry in a chronicle. And this was done. 4 words. For 4,500 lives. This is the story of Verden, a story of conquest, of faith used as a weapon, of a king who went too far, of a massacre that shocked even a brutal age. Charlemagne would go on to be crowned emperor by the Pope in the year 800. He would become Charlemagne the Great, father of Europe, founder of the Holy Roman Empire, one of the most important figures in Western history. But he would never speak of Verden again. Some legacies are written in stone, others are written in blood. This one is written in both. If you made it this far, thank you for watching. This was a heavy story, a dark chapter in medieval history. But it's important to remember. Leave a comment. What do you think? Was Charlemagne a monster or a man of his time? Was Verden justified or was it genocide? I want to know what you think. Next week, I'm covering another story from the early Middle Ages, one that's just as brutal and just as fascinating. You won't want to miss it. Until then, remember this. History isn't just about kings and empires. It's about the people who suffered under them. The 4,500 at Verden. The countless others whose names we'll never know. Their story deserves to be told. See you next time. The blood of Verden never washes away.